before we close, real quick, give me one person that is going to rise substantially in your next NBA power rankings update and one team that is going to fall substantially.
Whew, that's a tough question. Do the Lakers deserve to fall? Because I feel like they've kind of turned it around after the terrible Anthony Davis, Dwight Howard fight. I thought that was kind of funny.
I guess it depends. Do you
by the way,
still view them as top three?
The Lakers?
Well, I mean, based off your rankings, if we're talking about someone that fall, if you're talking about someone that drops out of the top three, then that's potentially a substantial drop.
Yeah, I mean, power rankings are always difficult because they're kind of head to head, but I still think that the Lakers, just by virtue of having those guys, will still be favorites come championship time. So power rankings are always strange with that.
You have to tell me the Bulls are going to be one of your best risers. At 15, you had them.
Yeah, Bulls are going to be in the top 10. That's for sure. Do the Bing Bong Knicks get to be in the top? Because I disrespected them a bit by saying they were like 19 to start the year. So maybe I should give them the bump now because they're immediately going to fall down pretty quickly. But the start of the NBA season is always weird. Like I think the Grizzlies started like 4-0 one year and then ended up with like the third worst record in the league. Like the start of the NBA season can be weird. The trust the process 76ers started 3-0 and then like won 4 games the rest of the season. Like weird stuff like this happens in the start of NBA seasons. But I will say the Hornets will rise. Props to the Hornets at this point. They've been pretty awesome so far. Fall. What's a good fall team here?
Let's see.
I think the Pelicans. I think the Pelicans might be a team that falls at this point. They weren't super high.
Yeah, 18. Yeah.
But when I made the initial preseason power rankings, and this is amazing that this happened, it was the day before the season began, and I had no idea Zion Williamson was going to be hurt. I had no idea Zion was not going to play to start the season. We only found out during the introductory press conference he had a secret surgery that he held from the team, and they thought he was going to be good to go to start the season, but it's like, nope, he might be out like 3 months at this point. So if you take Zion off the Pelicans, well, then they've got no shot at making the playoffs this year. I know Brandon Ingram is still pretty good, but they've got no shot of making the playoffs.
Well, I'll tell you, your number one team, the Nets, they are 2-2. So, I mean, could they fall out of the one spot? I guess you can make an argument there. If they fall out of the one spot, then that's a pretty big fall in terms of ranking it to this point. I mean, you did have also
sure, but when we do power rankings, I don't want to pretend like the Nets aren't like NBA champions.
Of course, but we still have to kind of give a little credit to the fact that some of the games they lost. I mean, the Hornets did beat them. That's something that came out of left field. And then what else? Who else got the win on them? Opening night, didn't they lose? Right?
Yeah, they lost to the Bucks pretty bad at this point.
So you would say maybe the Bucks jump them, right?
Yeah. I will give Milwaukee props there. Milwaukee probably gets to be number one at the end of the week.
Bucks are 3-1 at the moment. You have the Mavericks still 2-1. You could potentially drop the Blazers. They're at 1-2 at the moment.
Yeah, but Celtics I don't think I had the Blazers very high to start the season. I think I had them like barely cracking the top 20. So I saw that they haven't been very good, but I think I already had them pretty low to start the year.
I'll self-deprecate a little bit. My Celtics are 2-2. They're currently your number 11 team.
Yeah, I mean seeding's complex, but the Celtics had a bad loss in there, didn't they? Like I thought they lost to someone really bad.
The Knicks 2 overtime game, you would say, would potentially be considered a bad loss.
They lost to not Boston. They lost to Toronto. That's right.
There you go. That's one.
They got smothered by Toronto.
Then you come back, you rebound, you beat the Rockets, and they did beat the Hornets. They beat the Hornets in an overtime game this past week. So they're kind of like that mid type team. They're that like perfect team when you decide what's mid. The Celtics kind of feel like mid at the moment.
I will play devil's advocate towards your Boston Celtics. I think they'll be better by the time December rolls around. I think they'll be better. I'm not going to pretend like I'm watching a ton of NBA basketball right now. We got the World Series going on. We got the NFL Sundays. Occasionally there's a big college football game. Like I haven't been watching a ton of NBA at this point, but I will say I do think the Boston Celtics will get better once they have a larger sample size. Because they lose to Toronto pretty bad, but say they win that game like they will 75% of the time. Well, all of a sudden they've got the same record as the Milwaukee Bucks, and they're a 2 seed all of a sudden. So, you know what, Boston, you guys are going to be all right. There's no reason to panic at this point. It's not going to be like last year. It's going to get better over there for the Boston Celtics.